What is your Joe? Welcome back to the Hero Pro. Welcome back to a brand new video. We are here. We are back with a brand new video for you guys. And listen, we have a very big update on the Jimmy Butler situation from a couple of very credible outlets. So we're gonna get right into those. Make sure y'all leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know your thoughts, man, about the whole situation. You know, there's only two camps. There's a camp that wants Jimmy to receive the extension from Miami, and there's a camp that wants Miami to trade him and not pay him a max extension right now. Now, obviously, this has been surfacing since before the offseason even started. Since we were eliminated from the playoffs, there were reports coming out saying that Jimmy Butler is officially eligible to receive a max extension from the Miami Heat. And obviously, in Pat Riley's press conference, he was, he didn't confirm that he was going to give it. He obviously didn't say, he would. He didn't say he wouldn't. He was kind of just like, we'll see when the time comes type of thing. And, obviously, that raised a few eyebrows, and a lot of other teams started opening their eyes on the fact that there could be a possibility that Jimmy Butler could be traded to a different team if the Miami Heat refused to give him a max extension. And I do believe that's how it's going to go down. It's either one of two ways. It's either the Heat give him the max extension and we move on, everything's good, or we do not give him the max extension. He declines his player option, and we're going to be forced to trade him in the middle of next season, or trade him in the middle of, or trade him at the start of next season, so right now, or be forced to let him walk for nothing, which I don't think is going to happen. I don't think we're going to, let him walk. I think we're going to move him if we don't extend him. But what I would do is very simple. Pay the man his money. I'm in the camp of doing that. I fully believe that Jimmy Butler deserves the extension. Now, I understand he's 34, and I understand that he has been under fire for not playing as many games. And obviously, with Pat Riley's comments about keeping his mouth shut, I don't think there's a big deal with that. I think he was just trying to protect the integrity of the league. He wasn't trying to bash any of the teams. He was just trying to make sure that we were respectful to every other team. I don't think Jimmy, really reads deep into that, and I don't think I would either. But regarding the extension, that's where things could go sideways for the Miami Heat. They have to handle this very carefully. Now, they obviously don't want to, blindly give it to him for no reason, but I would give him the extension. I really would. And here's why. Jimmy Butler is under contract currently for this season, and he has a player option at the end of this year to potentially be under contract for next year. So he essentially has a 1+1 deal. Giving him this extension would essentially add another year on top of the 2 years that we're talking about right now. So after this season, the year after that, giving Jimmy Butler an extension would add another year on top of that. So essentially it would be like a 3-year extension starting from this year. To me, that's not really a big deal, because essentially he's under contract for 2 years anyway, unless he were to decline his player option. So you're really just adding an extra year on top of his 2 years that he already has. So I don't think it's a huge deal if you were to extend him for an extra year. It's not like we're giving him a 5-year extension. This is a 2-year extension. Starting at the end of the season, the upcoming season, because he's obviously under contract for sure this year. Next year is where the player option and everything starts, and that's when you're eligible to kick in that extension. So right now, like I said, he's under contract right now. So to me, I don't think it's a big deal if we were to give him an extension. I really don't. I think it could be very viable for this team. Now, obviously, there are concerns with the games played. That's the only concern I really have with Jimmy, is the games played. But let's not forget what this man has done for the Miami Heat over the past few years, man. I mean, he has literally carried us on his back. Him and Eric Spoelstra have carried the Heat on their backs for numerous playoff runs over the past 5 seasons. Obviously, this year it didn't go well because he was hurt, and you can't really blame him for the injury in the play-in. I mean, Kelly Oubre stepped on his knee and he tore his MCL. I mean, that's just something that you can't really, control. Now, I do think that in the regular season he should take the game more seriously, but I think, he's capable of doing that. I really do think so. Obviously he's not going to go 100% every single game because he has to manage his body for the playoffs. But I do think that if we put a better team around him, that will give him an even more of an incentive to play harder in the regular season. And I think Jimmy Butler should be a Miami Heat for life. I would have him retire as a Miami Heat. I want his extension to be, you know, obviously right now he's 34. If you give him the extension, it will take him until he's 37. I think that's when he'll probably call it quits and retire. And I want him to retire as a Miami Heat player. I mean, if you were to trade him to another team, like, who would you really get back? Like, the 76ers are really interested. They're not trading Maxey. And to me, Maxey's the only player on the Sixers who I would really want in a Jimmy Butler deal. So, yeah, I'm not really sure as to, you know, why I would trade him. The only reason I could see people not wanting to trade him is that you do not want to pay him that much money when he's that old. But to me, it's just another year added, just 1 year extra on his current contract. And yeah, you're paying him a lot of money, but after he's 37, that money's going to come off the books. It gives you some more time to build around Bam and Jimmy. And people are talking about trading Jimmy. The one person that I don't think people are talking about enough that we have to trade is Tyler. And no shot at Tyler. I just think that if we were to keep Jimmy and Bam around, we have a couple of pieces here and there that we can use and we can flip for talent that is ready right now. We have a couple of draft picks. The focus should not be rebuilding. And the Miami Heat, to me, are a team that just doesn't rebuild. They will retool, but they won't rebuild. And when you have a player like Jimmy Butler who has delivered for you postseason after postseason after postseason, it just makes no sense to me why you would get rid of him. Unless they believe fully that they have reached the ceiling of this team, unless they have fully believed that, you know, Jimmy Butler cannot do any more to take them over the hump, unless they fully believe that the window is closed, I would not trade him. I would not trade him at all. I would give him the extension. It's 1 more year, like I said, essentially. That's the biggest reason to me, because you're not giving him a long-term extension. It's a short-term extension. So that's why I wouldn't be opposed at all to give him the extension. And I also don't want another star to end on bad terms with the Miami Heat, man. I mean, I was distraught. I mean, I guess my saddest moment as a Miami Heat fan was when Dwayne Wade left us. I don't want the same thing to happen with Jimmy Butler. This dude is arguably a top 5 Heat player of all time. To me, he's in that list. I think he's in there. If you had to put a Miami Heat Mount Rushmore, he's making a very solid case as a player as to why he should be on there. I'm not saying he solidified himself on there, but he's definitely in the consideration for sure. This dude is a Miami Heat icon. In the past 5 years, he has absolutely changed the direction of this franchise. We were middle of the pack. We had zero direction when we were, you know, in the middle of the 8 seed, 9 seed, 10 seed. When we were in the lottery, back end of the lottery, when we had the 15th pick, and it was just very, very directionless. And then we brought him in, and he absolutely turned this franchise around. The players love him. The fans love him. The coaches love him. The front office loves him. I don't buy the narrative that him and Pat Riley are falling out or that they have beef or whatnot. I just think that's completely made up. I don't believe that whatsoever. I just think that Pat Riley and him speak the exact same language. And Pat Riley would not have said that in the press conference if he knew that Jimmy Butler couldn't take it. And that's the beauty of having a guy like him on your team. He embodies what this franchise stands for. I'm not a guy who preaches Heat culture every time, but if you want to talk about Heat culture, name me one other player in the NBA today that embodies Heat culture more than Jimmy Butler. Because I can't find anybody. You don't let a guy like that go. Especially when he's done so much for this team, postseason after postseason. I understand the regular seasons have been underwhelming. I do understand that. But I do think that if we were to put a better team around him in the regular season, if we had cohesion, because he wasn't the only one getting hurt. People like to make it seem like he was the only one not taking the regular season, seriously or getting injured or whatnot. We had injuries all over the place. In 2022, I believe we had constructed the best roster around Jimmy Butler, and that was the year where we lost in the Eastern Conference Finals to Boston, where he missed the game-winning 3 over Al Horford. If we constructed a roster which was as good as that today, I have no doubts that Jimmy Butler can, galvanize this team to the 1, 2, 3, or 4 seed in the regular season. The problem is you're pairing him alongside, apart from Bam Adebayo, you're pairing him alongside guys who I don't really think would, start on championship teams. I really don't think so. I mean, maybe Terry Rozier, but Would Tyler Hero start on a championship team right now? I don't think so. I don't think Haywood Highsmith or Duncan Robinson or Caleb Martin or these guys would start on the championship teams. You're playing him alongside a bunch of undrafted dudes who, granted, they made impacts for us, and I'm not discounting them at all, but put actual talent, proven talent around Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo and see where they take you. We have got to the finals with scraps by fighting and clawing our way. 2 years. We got to the finals like that in 2020, and to more of an extent in 2023, where we literally had nothing in the regular season, and all of a sudden they just got super hot and they made it to the finals. That was with Gabe Vincent as our starting point guard and Max Strus as our starting shooting guard. Again, no shots to them, but if you give Jimmy Butler proven talent, which to me they have failed to do, again, not entirely on them. I think the Dame stuff was more on the Blazers, but year after year after year, they have been linked to star after star after star, and have either refused to trade for them or have, not been able to. So to me, I believe that if you were to get Jimmy and Bam a third go-to guy, I mean, Rozier is good, and Rozier is a very, very solid piece, but like a bona fide dude, like a star, and use Tyler Hero and use some of the draft capital we have and go get a guy who can really be a guy that you can go to consistently on this team that can take the pressure off of Jimmy Butler. Man, you're talking about the most talented roster that Eric Spoelstra would have had in the past 5 years. So to me, I think trading Jimmy Butler is not a good idea. That's just what I believe at the end of the day. I really do think that we have to, I mean, I'm not saying we have to do anything, but I do think that we should extend him. I don't think it really hurts the team if you're going to extend him for another year on top of his current deal. I think he still has, a lot left in the tank. He may not be the same he was, but he still has a lot left in the tank. And come playoff time, there is not a player in the league I would rather have on my team than Jimmy Butler. And that's a fact, and I'm going to end on that. So you guys let me know down in the comment section. Now, this is probably a little controversial. If you guys disagree, that's completely fine, and I'm not against people disagreeing with this take. It's not popular. I've seen people want to trade Jimmy Butler away right now, and maybe I might be too much of a homer or too blinded by my love for Jimmy that I really, really want him to retire as a Miami Heat player, that I'm maybe not seeing another side to it. If you guys have another side to it, just explain to me down in the comment section below. Be respectful about it. Y'all know what to do. As always, man, we're on the road to 3K, so make sure y'all drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below. I'll see y'all later as always. Peace.